Hi, everyone. Welcome to this very special NYRA Bets live stream looking at the all stakes pick five sequence taking place on Saturday at the fairgrounds. I'm joined by my colleague, Kaylie Shapiro. My name is Matthew DeSantis. And Kaylie, you are in New York City. I am in the bustling metropolis of Gum Spring, Virginia. But how are things going in the Big Apple?
Really good. Just got back here last night and, excited to be back at the track and back at it, handicapping for this weekend. And it's an amazing card at Fairgrounds. And, the more I looked at this sequence, the more excited I got to play it because I have some strong opinions, in the dirt races and then the turf races, shorter prices, but you could spread a little, maybe get some bigger prices as well. So, thought it was a really fun sequence and excited to talk about it.
Absolutely a fun sequence. Starting race 9 tomorrow, Saturday at the fairgrounds. 5 consecutive stakes races, 2 on the turf, 3 on the dirt, including 2 Oaks and Derby prep races. And then the Louisiana Stakes is your non-Derby and Oaks prep dirt race that's there. You have the Marie Jean Krantz and you have the Colonel E.R. Bradley on the turf as well. But listen, before we get into that, I wanted to give you a little house cleaning. This is a very special promo code. This is only live tonight, okay? Tonight only for all of you who are watching right now. If you are not a player yet on NYRA Bets, you have a very special promo code. If you go to NYRA Bets, go to nyrabets.com/live25. You go there, you enter the code live25. All right, you enter that code live25. Guess what? You get a free $25 bet and up to a $200 deposit match bonus. Again, that is only live for tonight only. So if you're not a player yet, make sure to use that promo code live25. And for our current players, you're already signed up. Guess what? Tomorrow we got a really great promo, $10 money back guarantee in the last race at Aqueduct and the first race at Turfway Park. I'm already knocked out of the late pick 5 at Turfway Park after the first leg. So I got to take advantage of that promo tomorrow for sure. But Kaylie, always a lot of great promos, always a lot of great reasons to sign up on NYRA Bets.
Oh, 100%. And this promo code live25, I mean, literally all you have to do is sign up and you get free $25. So, I mean, if I didn't have an account, I'd definitely be making one tonight to get my money up in my account for Fairgrounds tomorrow.
Absolutely. So remember, go to nyrabets.com/live25. And if you do that, you can redeem your live25 promo for up to a $25 bet and up to a $200 deposit match bonus. All right, enough of the house cleaning. We got to talk about some really great racing taking place at Fairgrounds on Saturday. Kaylie and I are going to walk you through the all stakes pick 5 sequence. We're going to talk about our opinions on those 5. Then we're going to share with you our preliminary ticket. Obviously, scratches and changes could change some things tomorrow, but you'll get a sense of where we're leaning, where we're going, and how we're thinking about constructing those tickets. So listen, make sure to drop a like. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to our NYRA Bets YouTube channel if you haven't already. But more importantly, drop a comment as well. Let us know your opinions on these races. What's your strongest opinion of this entire sequence? We'd love to hear from it. And Kaylie, I don't know about you, but I thought this first race that we'll dive into right here, race number 9 on the card, going off at 5 p.m. Eastern time, a mile and a 16th for 4-year-old nut fillies and mares on the turf, the Marie Jean Krantz Stakes. And I thought this was, you have a very strong favorite in the number 5, Maduro. But I'll be honest, I'm not particularly thrilled with that horse. And I think there's a few other options in this particular race. But why don't we start with Maduro, who's coming in from the West Coast. First start from the West Coast for trainer Peter Urton. Jose Ortiz up on the mount. Certainly has been facing tougher company, but I do worry about West Coast horses coming to the Midwest and the Southeast.
A little bit. I think I really like this horse, actually. I thought this was the horse to beat, obviously the morning line favorite, but just looking at the competition that this horse has been running up against, you imagine, she's getting not significant, but pretty significant class relief here. I mean, this filly has been running in mare, has been running in all graded stakes races, and she's actually undefeated if she's not running in a graded stakes race. So I think that she is a pretty strong contender up against this field. Obviously, the 6 is probably her biggest threat. I have that one on my ticket too. But the 5, I mean, getting first time Lasix, because obviously able to run with Lasix at fairgrounds in these listed stakes. So I think that the horse could actually take a step forward getting Lasix for the first time in this race. So Peter Urton, I'm going to take him seriously if he's bringing this horse out here. And also Jose Ortiz takes the mount too, which I really like. So I included this one on my ticket.
I have this one when we go to the final graphic on my ticket. My ticket's a little more expensive than yours. Mine's at $64. Yours is at $48. Honestly, this is the first horse off my ticket. If I have to trim down, I don't like this horse at all. I don't like West Coast horses. Guess what? The turf is not pristine. They're not scissor cutting every single blade of grass like we're at Santa Anita and Del Mar. It's fairgrounds. It's clumpy. It's lumpy. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's a little bit funky. That's the turf course at fairgrounds. It's weird. Not everybody likes it. Sometimes you have to be on the far outside. Sometimes you got to be on the inside. Sometimes you got to be all over the place in the stretch. They've improved the turf course significantly from 2 seasons ago, but still, it's not one that every horse takes to necessarily. And so I'm just a little worried. Certainly, you mentioned Jose taking the mount here, obviously points in a very positive direction. The horse has been facing grade 1, grade 2 competition. Now, how good some of those horses are out west, that we can debate. I think this horse is maybe more of a pure miler. This is a mile and a 16th. We'll see. There's nothing disqualifying about going a mile and a 16th, certainly. But I just think it is a 2-to-1 short price. I'm going to try to poke some holes in this one. I really like Sweet Treasure. You mentioned the 6 for Brad Cox. This nearly was my top choice. Also a horse that's on my ticket. Irad Ortiz Jr. up on the mount. By the way, how big of a day is Irad Ortiz and Brad Cox going to have? I think they're going to be in the winner's circle quite a bit today, or on Saturday, I should say, at fairgrounds. But this is one I like a lot. This is a horse that we saw at Aqueduct in November, finishing 3rd in the Pebbles, going a mile and 16th. The biggest thing here is the horse is getting Lasix. Now, the horse has one off Lasix, but I think popping Lasix back on, the horse has done really nothing but get better the last few times out. I think this is a horse that has good tactical speed, can sit kind of a tracking trip behind some of the early speed, and I think is very dangerous and a lightly raced horse that I think can only improve.
I completely agree. Definitely improved in her last 2 starts. And it's funny you bring up Irad Ortiz riding for Brad Cox, which is a big theme of this day. And you said it yourself, before. Obviously, this is not a derby horse. We're on the turf here, but definitely interesting to see that Irad's taking the mount here. I looked over the last 5 years. Brad Cox and Irad hit about 26%. And then if you look at the last 2 months, it's 32%. So they've been winning a lot of races together, and he's been getting a lot of horses that he hasn't ridden before. Like, for example, this one and Just a Touch. So very interesting that they team up on this one, and the horse makes all the sense from a figures perspective, and thought that she should sit a really nice trip as well, tracking right off the pace. So one that I definitely have on my ticket as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think, I like lightly raced horses in these types of spots. I mean, this is a filly who just turned 4 a couple weeks ago, obviously. So very lightly raced horse. I tend to go with those over horses who we've seen, the form we've seen come together. And I think that's why I'm always going to be a little bit more interested in a horse like Sweet Treasure over a horse like Maduro. That said, there's another horse in here who kind of bucks the trend of what I just said, and that's the number 8, Nanda Dia. This is a horse that's both lightly raced and a little bit older. And so this is now a 7-year-old mare, but only raced 3 times in the United States, and honestly didn't do a ton of racing in Argentina either. Only 11 career starts, 8 wins. And what impressed me, Kaylie, about this horse, who I have on my ticket and is actually my top choice in this race for Horacio de Paz with Flavian Prat is this horse has repeatedly won off the bench. And this horse is coming off a little bit of a layoff again. More importantly, we're getting Lasix back on, which I think is important. And we're getting a class drop from running in that grade 1. And I just think this makes a lot of sense for a horse that has really shown up every time, and it already has a victory over this turf course at Fairgrounds. So I like all of those things. Flavian Pratt, he's leaving you behind in New York. He's going down to New Orleans for the weekend, and I don't blame him for that because it's a great day of racing and a lot of great mounts he's got between this and a lot of Charisse horses that we'll talk about. But for me, I thought Nada Dia was a really interesting horse in this race.
Really interesting. Another one that I have on my ticket, I went 4 deep here. I used the 5 and the 6, two pretty short prices, and then the 8 and the 9, trying to catch a price if those two don't fire. But I completely agree. This one runs really good races off the bench and gets Lasix back. Obviously, that grade 1, maybe this mare would have run better if she was able to run with Lasix. That's certainly how it seems. So definitely think this is an interesting horse. And I mean, Flavian takes them out. That's really all you have to know. So 9-2, pretty good price as well. So honestly hoping, I can get the 8 or the 9 home here. But the 5 and the 6 both look pretty tough, I will say. This one will have to improve a little bit, but it's possible, seeing how well she runs off the bench.
Yeah, she'll have to improve the numbers a little bit. The 86 buyer is probably going to have to go up, 4 or 5 points at the very least in order to get the win here. Maybe only 2 or 3. It just depends. One of the things I'll mention is she's tactical in that she's sat a little bit closer to the pace in some races, a little bit further back in others. She doesn't need to, she's not a deep closer. And I think that's one of the things that I tend to be a little bit afraid of sometimes is deep closers over this Fairgrounds turf course. But that said, she can sit a few different types of trips. I expect Flavian to get her out in good order. We should mention Ignacio Correas IV, who brought a lot of great horses, including Didia, up from Argentina. He recently retired, which is why you see a lot of his horses having the barn change, which is why you have the trainer change to Horacio De Paz. Horacio, obviously a trainer you and I have gotten to know his horses well over the last few years up here in New York. Very good trainer, very good trainer on the turf too. So he knows how to get these types of horses ready. I think Nada Dia at 9-2 is good value, and I think might even float up a little bit because I agree with you that I think the 5 and 6 are going to take a lot of money, and I think that's going to allow some of these other horses to be a bigger price.
Definitely. And one thing really to note is that because you were talking about how different the turf course is at Fairgrounds, and this horse has a win, this distance, this track, this turf course, and that's actually her career best figure. So definitely another reason why I included her on my ticket.
Yeah, what did I say? It's bumpy, it's lumpy, and it's a little bit funky. That's the Fairgrounds turf course. That I'm going to trademark that. I'm going to talk to my boy Joey Christofek down there at Fairgrounds, see if we can get that trademark. I don't know if they'd like that or not, but I like it. I love Fairgrounds. Love all the folks down there as well. They're going to have a great day tomorrow. The weather looks good. That's always important. Last year, a couple of these races were actually taken off the turf, but that's not going to be the case this year. And that's a good thing. Folks, we have over 100 people watching right now. Want to appreciate and say thank you to all of those folks who are tuning in, watching this right now. If you're watching tonight and tonight only, and you are not a player on NYRA Bets, use the promo code LIVE25. It is only live tonight. That is it. If you use that promo code LIVE25 and you sign up on NYRA Bets, you get a free $25 bet and up to a $200 deposit match bonus. So use that promo code LIVE25, and you see right on the scroll underneath, NYRABets.com/live25. That's how you redeem the offer. So make sure to sign up for that. And listen, let us know, what's your opinion in this race? Who's everybody looking at in the Marie G. Krantz Stakes? You mentioned one other horse, and I like this horse too. If you watched my episode of Capping the Card today, my value play, in which I go through all 13 races and give you my top pick and top value play. Kaylie and I have a Road to the Derby and Oaks highlighting the Silver Bullet Day and the Lecomte. All of that's on the NYRA Bets YouTube channel. You can check all of that stuff out. But I really like this 9 Stylish Sue for trainer Joe Sharp. And the biggest reason is a little bit the same as Nada Dia. Gets the Lasix back. I think that's the biggest difference here. But this horse, this horse could surprise at a price. It would not shock me because this horse has good speed, and we have seen this Fairgrounds turf course hold up front end speed. I think it's speed of the speed right here.
Definitely. That's why I have the horse on my ticket. I thought this horse could very well control things up on the front end, and really wanted to include her for that reason. If you look at the race 2 back, 87, controlled things up on the front end there, and, didn't go all too slow either there. So I'd imagine this horse, she could control things up on the front end. And if you look at Louis Saez, his win percentage, as well as Joe Sharp, I mean, I didn't want to mess around and leave this horse off my ticket. And also she fits from a figures perspective. So she could surprise at a price and one I felt worth using here.
Yeah, it's important to point out that effort two back was actually her first race in nearly a year. I mean, that was following a year layoff, and she got the job done going long on the turf and, was stepped up into the Cardinal Stakes last time out. And just, that was a little bit longer in terms of going a mile and an eighth. Now we're cutting back to a mile and a 16th. There's not much speed in this race, so I think she can get out on the front end. Louis is very good in that regard. And she's third back in the form cycle and gets her Lasix back. So I think there's a lot of things to suggest she's going to run well. I have her in my ticket as well. And if you don't, I'd certainly include her in my verticals. That's for sure. My exactas, my trifectas, because again, we're going to talk about another horse in a couple of races, a horse I'd rather be blessed. That horse can take them gate to wire at fairgrounds. We've seen that horses like that do it before in these types of races. Don't screw around with that. It would be my advice here. You and I actually had the exact same four horses we liked. I didn't know if there was anybody else you wanted to call out from this field or if we can move on to the Silver Bullet Day.
Well, I took a look at the Brendan Walsh horse on the far outside a little bit, just made a little bit of sense. I mean, didn't really win the post position draw here, but you think Brendan Walsh and a horse that clearly is improving and looked a little dangerous at first, but then I pulled a stat. I just thought this was really interesting. Brendan Walsh on the turf at fairgrounds and any stakes race, he's 1 for 35, 3%, which I was really surprised by.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, so I thought that was of note, and I left the horse off my ticket for that reason. Otherwise, I would have included her here.
That is a great stat to pull up because Brendan is a trainer who either runs really hot or really cold. Now, he's been a little bit more consistent this year, I feel like, than or 2025. He was a little bit more consistent, and he had a record-breaking year, we should say. But anybody who's followed this game for a while knows that Brendan can hit it 35%, followed by a 2-month stretch where he hits it 4%. And it's just maddening sometimes because it just depends. Turfway Park, he's great. Keeneland, he's great. You get him down at fairgrounds, yeah, maybe it's a little bit questionable. We talk about that with a lot of these trainers. Where is their best string? Kenny McPeak at Oaklawn versus Kenny McPeak at fairgrounds. Brad Cox at Oaklawn versus Brad Cox at fairgrounds. These are things we always have to take into consideration. So I agree with you about that. I do want to call out a comment from our friend here who's watching. Flying is fly fish in chief. Fly fish in chief. I've never tried to fly fish. I've always liked to. I always wanted to, but I've never done it. He was talking a little bit about the number 2 Epic Style for Michael Stidham, 12-1 on the morning line. Certain getting an honest price. Obviously, as you mentioned, continues to stay on the Lasix, stretching out to a mile and a 16th, but that last victory over N1X Allowance Company was impressive enough. Is going to have to get faster. But again, a young horse, a step forward would not be completely out of the question.
No, not at all. And I think this one was actually the last one, off my ticket. I feel pretty confident with the 4 I have, but if I were to pick a 5th, it would be this one. I just didn't feel the need to include her whatsoever because she will have to take a big step forward, but it's not impossible.
Not impossible. And as he points out, has experience at the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
My guy, Billy Ho, who, by the way, shout out, Billy. Thank you for reposting some of our video from the other day on Twitter. Appreciate that because he really likes the horse that we're going to talk about later in the Lecomte, but he's with me. 6, 8, 9, fade the 5. I really think that's the way I'm going to end up going. I might regret it, but that's the way I'm going to go. So I love it. And
it is fair enough. I did look, Peter Urton, first time Lasix at fairgrounds, really small sample size, but he's 2 for 6, 33%.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it's scary, the thought of that horse improving, getting Lasix for the first time. I really didn't want to get knocked out in the first leg by this horse.
Yeah.
So.
No, I hear you. But, you can always wheel it back in the all stakes pick 4 too. So maybe for a cheaper ticket. By the way, no wonder I didn't notice this. Sean O'Neill, who is from the Philly area, this is his handle, Fly Fish in Chief. And he said he'll take me to Topahocken Creek. No Tulpehocken Creek well. My uncle Ezio and my aunt Eleanor lived in Tulpehocken for years. Love it. So I would love to go
Small world.
there. It is a small world. No, absolutely. So listen, appreciate everybody tuning in. And listen, if you have not started playing on NYRA Bets already, make sure to use that promo code LIVE25 by going to nyrabets.com/live25. You get a free $25 bet and up to a $200 deposit match bonus. And oh, by the way, current players, you can have a great promo tomorrow, $10 money back guarantee at Aqueduct, last race and the first race at Turfway Park. Now, let us get back to the action at Fairgrounds, and let's move on to the Silver Bullet Day. This is a 6-horse field going 1.70 miles for 3-year-old fillies. And the number 1, Atropa, is your morning line favorite for Cherie DeVoe. This is a filly you and I, Kaylie, were both pretty excited about. But we do the road to the Derby and Oaks, and I tend to primarily focus on the Derby. You focus on the Oaks, so I'm going to give you the floor here. What's your thoughts on this Silver Bullet Day, and kind of how did you approach this race, both from a handicapping standpoint and then from a standpoint of using this race in your pick 5?
Well, I will say, moving forward, this field, it doesn't overwhelm me. Like, it doesn't impress me all too much. I think you have a couple of horses here that could set the right trip and maybe upset it. There's not a lot of speed here, so you could see a horse taking them all the way. But I really like the number 1, Atropa. I mean, since she broke her maiden at Keeneland, and the way that she did that was super impressive, and she was not nearly as far back as she was in the Goldenrod. So I don't think that she's going to be compromised by the lack of pace here. I think that if she just tracks right off, I think that she's going to sit a pretty nice trip, and I think she's the best filly in the race. So I really thought heavily about singling her, but I didn't. I also included the number 5 here just because that horse had a really tough go around last time out with the jockey losing his iron, and definitely, affected her way to finish up that race. So I thought the 1 and the 5, these two are really dangerous. They're the only 2 horses that I used here. I thought really long about using White Smoke. I think that that's a filly that screams Oaks to me. Maybe won't get the win tomorrow, but yells Oaks, going longer. She's just getting started. I think it's Atropa's day. She's further along, kind of, I think, more ready for this type of race. So I really like the number 1 here. And obviously the main thing is that there's really just a lack of pace here. But I think Atropa should be sitting pretty close.
Well, I think it's interesting you bring up the lack of pace. And that actually brings me to a horse that I'm going to be using on my ticket, which is the number 6, Pashmina. I think this horse is speed of the speed and should be able to sit a pretty comfortable trip up front. Faded a little bit last time, though I would argue had the worst of all of that nonsense between Hit Parade and Love Your Neighbor, and really got pinched back pretty far. She was never going to win, but she was definitely the most affected, I felt like, by that contact coming down the stretch. And I know she can do the distance because she did the distance 2 back. Now she had Lasix. Now you could absolutely point that out and go, she had Lasix 2 back. But the mile and a 16th, I still don't think going 1.70 miles for a Constitution out of a Super Saver mare is disqualifying. And so I think she can get that. I think she's just interesting because I think she can control things up front. And we'll see if she can finish a little bit better. Again, these are still very young, lightly raced horses who could absolutely move forward with a little bit more conditioning, a little bit more experience, etc. So I thought she was interesting. But listen, I agree with you. Atropa, that race was so oddly run, that Goldenrod. And one of the things that you and I talked a lot about leading up to that race is how effective that race serves as a Kentucky Oaks prep. So many winners of the Kentucky Oaks come out of that Goldenrod. And we saw a couple of horses, Bella Ballerina in particular, who won that race, as well as Atropa. Even the 3rd place horse, Just Singing, made a big run from the back. But that was an oddly run race because there was a New York bred, Let Me Count the Ways, who just quarter horsed it and thought the race, maybe they read the form wrong. They might have thought the race was 6 furlongs because the horse ran like it was a 6 furlong sprint and then whoops, dropped anchor. And so that horse opened up 8-9 lengths on the backstretch on everybody. It was just those are oddly run races. You don't know how to interpret them. Bella Ballerina just kind of like led the next vanguard, if you will, of everybody else, and essentially took them all the way around. Once, let me count the ways, dropped off. But Atropa made a great run from the back. I know the speed figure is not nearly as good, 2 points lower a little bit than Love Your Neighbor, but I'm with you. I think Atropa makes a ton of sense. Love Your Neighbor, I don't know. The horse is fine. It's good pedigree. It's an Ontario bred. You root for those type of things. But for me, I don't know if this is a horse that I feel like is going to move forward. Just watching that stretch run again, I don't know how much better this horse is going to be next time out. Whereas I feel like Atropa is going to be a lot better next time out. So to me, I think she sits the better trip, and I just think she gets the job done. And the only reason I'm not singling here is, and I might end up doing it, I don't know, but the only reason, at least in my preliminary ticket, I didn't was just Pashmina has that massive pace advantage in this race.
I thought so when I first looked at the race, and I'm not saying that I disagree really by any means, because it really could be that she gets the lead. I mean, she drills to the far outside of everyone, but I looked, I don't really think that she's necessarily the fastest filly in the race. I think that Atropa is going to be sitting right off her hip. So I don't think that she's going to have like an easy go around here whatsoever. And I think that the 5 might not, Love Your Neighbor, might not even need to take a step up. She might not really need to improve all that much. And if
She could
Atropa
run another
just
81. Yeah, that's a good point.
definitely, if Atropa takes just one step forward, then you might as well just single her. Because to me, Pashmina's a notch below the 1 and the 5 right now at what we're looking at. And I just don't, you bring up the pedigree, which is fair. I mean, she won going a mile and a 16th with Lasix. But if you look at the dam, she's out of a super saver dam, like you brought up. I mean, the furthest that she won at was 6 furlongs.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, it's not really a guarantee. And if she doesn't get the position that she wants, she could be compromised, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So,
a lot of it's going to come down to, yes, how aggressive is Jose from that inside rail on Atropa? I think that's a big part of it. I think if I had to guess, they probably want to sit a pocket trip. They would probably like to have Pashmina clear the field, take him into the first turn, and have Atropa sit behind that horse, and maybe Love Your Neighbor on the out, kind of on their outside. I think that's kind of the ideal trip that Atropa has, is tracking. And I listen, I think she's much the best in this race. So I might end up just putting a single on her and just forgetting it. The one horse that we should mention, who neither of us particularly like, because we've mentioned White Smoke a little bit. And I agree, that's a horse that's an essential quality out of a Curlin mare. Hello, that horse should like a lot of distance.
and that's the horse I'm
take a
most
big
scared
step
of.
forward.
I don't know about you. That's the horse that I'm most scared of. I use just the 1 and the 5. I think it's their time, if you know what I mean. Like, I think, and also the 3, she's not going to get the pace that she got on debut whatsoever, but she's also going to improve stretching out. So the 3 honestly scares me the most. If I was going to put a third horse, which I don't feel the need to, like I said, I think White Smoke might get better as they continue on. I think
Yeah.
maybe just another race and she could be at the same level, but I could be wrong about that. And that's for sure. But she would be the only one really that I'm scared of here. And I honestly thought really long about singling Atropa. I think it's her race, and I think she was really compromised last time out. And it was impressive the way that she rallied up even to get second.
It was. And White Smoke is, I think, a very dangerous horse. And you're right. It's a question of whose time is it now versus whose time is it the first Friday in May. And White Smoke might be that type of a filly that's going to peak a little bit more in the Rachel Alexandra, in the Fairground Oaks, in that kind of second and third level round preps. And so, listen, but Flavian comes in for the mount. Cherie's got a pair of horses that are both dangerous. By the way, clip that out. We're going to say the exact same thing in the Lecomte. Cherie's got a pair of horses that are dangerous. And it's Jose and Flavian aboard. So she's dangerous. The one horse that I would say I'm against is the number 4, Taken by the Wind, which saddens me, because we love Kenny McPeak and we love Rock Your World, the sire. But I just, A, she's coming off the bench. B, I don't think she beat anybody of note in either of those races. and
Yeah.
C, she's going to need to get faster. And I just don't know. I don't think she can overcome one of those things, let alone all three of those things.
I completely agree. I mean, this is no Torpedo Anna on the
No,
Oaks Trail
sweet
here.
Jesus.
Nothing to be scared of. And I'm making that joke because,
Yeah, yeah.
I always take McPeak fillies seriously, especially purchases like this. We talk
Yes.
about it all the time. And, she got the job done in the Pocahontas. I just think the waters are a little deeper here, like you said, and she's coming off the bench. And I just don't think she's going to be at the same level as Atropa. That's for sure. And probably
Yeah.
not even White Smoke. Even if White Smoke isn't as
Yeah.
mature as she's going to be, I think she'll still beat this filly too. So I wasn't in love with her, and certainly not at 5-2 at
No,
all.
I agree with you here. Gonna be a fade for me on Taken by the Wind. We both like a trophy here. I think White Smoke's a little interesting.
Hmm.
Pashmina might be a little bit interesting. Love Your Neighbor could be a little bit interesting. This is a race where I think how people approach this leg is largely dependent on how they approach the Louisiana Stakes. Because if you single a trophy here, then you might be able to play against or have just a touch and a couple of other
Hmm.
horses in that Louisiana Stakes. If you go two or three deep here, then you probably have to then approach a single or go skinny in
Hmm.
another area. It's just going to be one of those things. The one horse we didn't mention, Billy Ho mentions right here, dancing in Old Town, underneath for value. Listen, in a short field, you might as well throw a big price underneath because at the very least in the trifecta, you never know what could end up popping up there.
Hmm.
Listen, let's head to the middle jewel of this all stakes pick 5 at Fairgrounds, and that is the Colonel E.R. Bradley Stakes, going a mile and a 16 for 4-year-olds and up on that turf course at Fairgrounds. And before we get into that, just want to remind everybody who's watching tonight, over 150 people. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Folks, if you're not playing on NYRA Bets already, we have a special promo code for tonight only. I cannot emphasize this. It is only for tonight. If you use the promo code LIVE25, make sure to use that promo code. You get a free $25 bet
Hmm.
and up to a $200 deposit match bonus. That is as good a promo as you're going to find right now. So make sure to use that promo code LIVE25 by going to nyrabets.com/25. There
Definitely
you go.
want to highlight that comment right here.
Oh, yes. Our guy
So
ISO Space says, got my $25 and shot it. Lost, but it's legit. Didn't even need to make a deposit. Hey, ISO Space, I love it. We're getting people signed up here, betting on NYRA Bets. Hey, if you sign up tonight, you get your free $25 bet. Hey, fire away at Turfway Park. They got a lot of great races going on tonight on NYRA Bets. I love that. That's great. Didn't even need the deposit match bonus. Listen, let us go to the Colonel E.R. Bradley. And Kaylie, this is an interesting race.
hmm.
And I think you and I were kind of in lockstep for the first two legs. I think we differ a little bit here in a few of the selections. A horse that I absolutely loved last time out was Capuna. And I guess maybe I shouldn't get ahead of myself because here's one of the things. Right now, the 3 I'd Rather Be Blessed and the 7 Theismann are both slated to run. Now, they were both slated to run last month in the Dilberto Memorial. And I said for that specific reason, Capuna is a great bet because these two horses are going to wear each other out on the front end.
Hmm.
And then Theismann scratched, and then I'd Rather Be Blessed took them all the way around.
Hmm.
I'm going to qualify it by saying the same thing. If I'd Rather Be Blessed and Theismann run, then I think this sets up beautifully for Capuna on the inside, who is your morning line favorite at 3-1. But this is a horse that has just done really well since switching over to the turf.
Oh yeah, super notable. The way that this horse perked up switching to the turf and got a trip over the fairgrounds turf course last time out as well. So I'd imagine second time over this course, maybe the horse even improves a little bit, but the perk up was really notable. And Louis Saez aboard for the first time ever. I think that's important to note. I mean, he's riding lights out, so that was another reason why I included this horse, and definitely notable the step up that this horse took. And I think that the horse should get more pace than he got last time out in the this race at Fairgrounds. So if
Yeah.
those two horses are in here, I agree. I think it sets up beautifully for the one, but I also included a few other options just to play it safe here. I spread a little bit with 4 horses. So
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about one of those because one of our viewers actually, James, he loves the number 9 Reagan's Wit. James, you're not alone, my friend, because on Capping the Card, I highlighted this as my value play in this race. The number 9 Reagan's Wit for Cherie DeVaux, Flavien Prat up on the mount. Here's my logic, Kaylie, and I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. This is a good horse, first of all. Stakes winning horse, won the J.W. Murphy at Pimlico on the undercard of the Preakness. More importantly, does Cherie have to put this horse in this race off the bench? No, she does not. The fact she puts this horse in this race off a 7-month layoff, hello, this horse is live. I just think 10 to 1. If you get anywhere near 10 to 1, I'd be thrilled because I think this horse is live as can be and is getting Lasix and coming back to where this horse scored its most impressive victory.
Definitely. I mean, someone just said it in the comments. I mean, this horse almost beat Zulu Kingdom, beat this horse by a neck. This horse has a lot of ability, and you said it best. I mean, Cherie would not have this horse in the race if it wasn't for a reason. Clearly, the horse is doing really well and training forwardly up to this race. So I thought 10 to 1 on this horse was really hard to turn down, and one that I had room to spread here. I did this pretty intentionally. I had very strong opinions in the dirt races, and then I spread a bit, so hopefully I could catch a big price on the turf, and could be a horse like this that is coming in off the bench, but look at the horses that she's been running up against, and like we said, she has to be training really well to even be here in the first place. So definitely wanted to include her here, and Flavien Prat also takes the mount, which is notable. So one that I really wanted to include. Hopefully we can get home at 10 to 1.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And by the way, Kaylie, what was your reaction when Zulu Kingdom got DQ'd at Saratoga this summer? Were you...
I was really upset. I mean, I hit 4 then I hit 4 out of 5, I think. It was just that horse. I thought it was ridiculous, that the horse was taken down.
I included Luther on my ticket, so I didn't think it was ridiculous.
It was so ridiculous.
It was ridiculous. It was very ridiculous. What's funny is I was about to do a TV spot with our friend Roger Weiland, who you did a couple TV spots with as well. And we watched the race, and I go, I took a shot with that Luther horse. It didn't work out. Oh, well. And I turned back around, and Roger goes, hey, I think they're looking at it. And I go, what could they possibly be looking at in this race?
Oh, it was insane.
Yeah. Anyway, one of those things. Anyway, that was just a funny note. But our friend Billy Ho, he goes Laganos. He likes Laganos, the number 4 in this race. I like Laganos too. For Steve Asmussen, Jose Ortiz back aboard. This is an interesting horse. As he mentioned, Theismann should ensure an honest pace. Laganos can bounce. My only concern with Laganos is 2 of his 3 turf wins have come at Kentucky Downs. I'm not saying that he's a Kentucky Downs specialist, but that was a little concerning for me. The other thing that's concerning is look at the last 6 times this horse has won. He won back-to-back races and then dropped off form. Won back-to-back races, dropped off form. Won back-to-back races recently, starts dropping off form again. It's interesting that it's like Steve gets something figured out and then, it's like, trying to hold on to sand or something like that. It's interesting to see that. Now, I don't know if I read too much into it, but this horse certainly makes a ton of sense at 7 to 2 on the morning line.
I thought so too. I really like this horse. I think this is actually my top pick in the race. I mean, 7 to 2. Love the price that I can get on this one. And Asmussen, I mean, you never really want to leave a Steve Asmussen, especially with Jose Ortiz riding at Fairgrounds. They're 16 for 63 over the last 5 years, so they win 25% of their races together. And this is a horse that I've really liked and clearly, kind of tipped off. Goes in and out of form a lot, but I'm hoping coming in off a little bit of a layoff, maybe this horse, finds another gear, improves a little bit. So I wanted to take a shot, 7 to 2. And even his races that, aren't his best stack up against this field. So
absolutely.
I thought that 7 to 2 was a good price.
No, remarkably consistent horse. Remarkably consistent. I mean, you look at a horse, this horse hasn't run below a 90 Beyer speed figure on the turf since last October. of 2024. So, I mean, this horse, rock solid, consistent when you talk about turf form over that stretch of time. So I agree. I think this horse makes a ton of sense in this particular race. But there's a few other horses. A horse, it's funny you mentioned that Brendan Walsh stat because I looked at the number 5 Cameo Performance for a while. And here's the thing. I just can't with Cameo Performance.
I agree.
Our good friend Chase Sessoms would say sometimes he would write a breakup letter to horses that he continuously bets and who let him down. I'm writing my breakup letter to Cameo Performance. If this horse beats me, so be it. But this horse just doesn't like to win. And I just can't with this horse anymore. I know you're getting 6-1 and Brendan Walsh, but between the stat you mentioned and the fact that this horse just doesn't like to get his picture taken, I just can't with Cameo Performance.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, and it's also interesting when you look at the price that this horse has gone off at in graded stakes races. And then now here, this horse is 6-1, a bigger price than he's even gone off at in graded stakes races. So I think the jury's kind of out. I'm in agreement. This horse hasn't won a race since August of 2024. So if he were to beat me here, so be it. I just, he's a notch below the rest of the field, in my opinion.
Yeah, a little bit. Now, a horse that I think is a bit interesting that I know you have some interest in is the horse we mentioned, the number 7 Theismann for Peter Eurton. You're all in on the Peter Eurton bandwagon here between Maduro in the one turf race, now Theismann here. But listen, 10-1, you're getting a price on a horse that's going to try to go out up on the front end. And Ben Curtis, listen, he knows how to ride the turf at the fairgrounds, knows it well. So this is an interesting horse. And I agree with you. I'd rather have this front end speed than I'd rather be blessed.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, this horse is one that loves getting his picture taken, his last three for 3. So I love that angle. I know that was in October, coming in off a little bit of a layoff, but I'm not too concerned. Clearly the horse was in really good form and just, needed a little bit, just took a little break over the winter. So makes a lot of sense. And this is a horse, although it's a Peter Eurton horse, it's not a California horse. This horse has a lot of experience. I mean, at Keeneland, Churchill Downs, that's where this horse has been winning. And also, still gets to run with Lasix as well. So thought this one was pretty dangerous and honestly could end up, taking them all the way. So one that I really wanted on my ticket. And he has really crazy stats. I mean, shipping into fairgrounds, and I'm getting 10-1 on this horse. So I would much rather take this horse than, a few others in here for sure.
This is amazing. He's one track away from being from having the Kentucky Super High 5, as I like to call it. He has won at Turfway Park, Keeneland, Churchill Downs, and Ellis Park. He's won at 4 Kentucky tracks. He just needs to win at Kentucky Downs. And then he has the Kentucky Super High 5, as I like to call it. And Billy says, hey, Peter Eurton, he can run him back at a good clip. And he absolutely can, for sure. The 7 is also getting that weight allowance, as Sean mentions. 120 pounds. So getting a little bit of that weight allowance. Ben Curtis knows how to use that to his advantage, especially up on the front end. So lots of like there from Theismann. I'm interested, and I'm going to take maybe a little bit of a shot at a horse that I thought was interesting, and that is the number 10 Gigante. This is a horse that I'm going to include on my ticket at 10-1. Steve Asmussen and Jimmy Graham teaming up together. The Delberto Memorial last time out was not great. Also was going 4 wide most of the way around. Has won at this distance, has won at this track, has won a lot throughout this horse's career, honestly. Is also a little bit like, what's interesting is a little bit like Laganos, like wins a couple of races and falls off form and kind of does this repeatedly. And what's so fascinating about this horse is I just think this one, the best races are good enough to win this race. You go back at looking at some of those races that this one has run, even in graded stakes competition. You go back to the Muniz Memorial when this horse finished second to I'd Rather Be Blessed last year at Fairgrounds in a grade 2, ran a 97 buyer. This horse is certainly capable of that. And it's a pretty hard-knocking horse. 29 career starts, 10 wins. I don't know. I thought this horse was at least a little bit interesting, is a big, deep closer, generally speaking. So, again, is going to be contingent on Theismann and I'd Rather Be Blessed pressing a little bit of an honest pace and then making a run. But I thought was interesting enough, at least at a price, to include in my late pick 5, I should say.
Definitely. I was between this one and the 7, kind of between those 2, and this was the last one really off my ticket. I just think it's interesting. I mean, the horse, I don't know if we've seen the best days from this
Yeah.
horse, and
Fair
that
to,
was
fair
kind
to
of,
point out. Fair to point
yeah,
out. Yeah.
just, my reasoning for leaving the horse off, but it's really not impossible whatsoever. Fits from a figures perspective, has experience at fairgrounds, but I mean, those figures at Remington Park weren't really like enough for me to put him on my ticket here, but one that could upset at 10-1 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'd be remiss if I didn't mention I'd rather be blessed, who's a very nice horse,
Hmm.
by the way, and is honestly a pretty good price at 6-1. It's just a matter of how far around this horse can take him. And if you think Theismann is going to be applying that pressure, or maybe even is able to cross and clear, then this horse is kind of up the creek without a paddle. And so it's just one of those things. He's got one way to win. And
Hmm.
when it sets up for him, he can get the job done. I just don't know if he's got, I know he doesn't have a second tool in the toolbox.
Hmm.
And I'm just not sure Theismann is going to give him an easy lead. Now,
No.
again, if one or if either of these horses scratch, if either I'd rather be blessed or Theismann
The ticket
scratches,
changes.
ticket changes dramatically. I agree.
Hmm.
Gigante's off, Theismann's in, and
Hmm.
I might even go skinnier than that too. I don't know. I'd maybe cut another horse here or there, but it would be interesting because that's going to change the pace complexion entirely. So, uh,
Definitely. I did prefer Theismann. I have him on my ticket here. I think
yeah,
he's gonna burn this horse out. And this horse definitely the number 3, I'd rather be blessed, like you said, really only has one way to win.
yeah.
So
Let's go to the tail end. And by the way, we got over 200 people watching on the live stream. Appreciate everybody tuning in right now. And if you are playing and tuning in right now, make sure to use that promo code LIVE25. Why? It's only good for tonight only. So if you go to nyrabets.com/live25, you can
mhm.
redeem the promo code LIVE25. You get a free $25 bet. Again, this is only for people who are watching this live stream, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's on X. It's only for you guys. This is an exclusive promo code that nobody else has, just you
Mhm.
all. So if you go and use that promo code LIVE25, you get up to a free $25 bet, or you get a $25 free bet and up to a $200 deposit match bonus. So make sure to go to nyrabets.com/live25 to redeem that promo code LIVE25. All right. Let's go to race 12, which is the grade 3 Louisiana Stakes, going a mile and a 16th on the dirt for 4-year-olds and up. And this race marks the return of just a touch. And that is where we have to start in this
Mhm.
particular race, and maybe where we have to end too, because your opinion of this race is going to be entirely dependent on what you think of Just a Touch. Kaylie, what do you think of Just a Touch?
I think this is a really good horse that's had a lot of hiccups, and I think that this horse has been training. Well, I know that this horse has been training really forwardly up to this race, and I'm singling him. I'm pretty confident in him, and I know that, we're going to talk about the Monmouth Cup and how the horse, here's the main thing though. This horse is getting IRAD for the first time.
Yes.
That's it. That's the end of the discussion, in my opinion. That's all the horse needed. IRAD is
Yeah.
never, ever, ever going to allow for this horse to not be in the position that he needs to be to win, which I think is tracking right off. There was one horse in here that I wanted to mention, Willie D's. I think that this horse
Oh,
can sit
yeah.
a really nice tracking trip off of Willie D's, and that's probably the way that this race is going to be run, in my opinion. And I think that Just a Touch is like I said, a really good horse that had a few hiccups, and he's training really forwardly up to this. And if you think about it, they're bringing him back now. This is
Yeah.
setting him up perfectly for something big come springtime. This is about the time to bring the horse back if you have a target. So I'd
Yeah.
imagine this horse has big plans and that this is a perfect spot for him to return in. And I see no reason, to think that this horse isn't going to be on his game. If you look at the way that he's been training, it's pretty clear that this horse is ready to go. And I just love the fact that Irad's riding him. I think that's going to make all the difference in the world.
Yeah. I agree with you there that it's going to make a huge difference. And Billy brings up a good point, which is the Lasix. Those horses' 3 career victories have all come with Lasix. And now the horses run very, very well off Lasix. So it's not as if there's this like, Jekyll and Hyde effect of on and off. But it is notable that his 3 victories have all come with Lasix. So this is a very
I wouldn't pay any mind to it.
No, I wouldn't. But it's interesting, and it's probably going to, now he's got Lasix. It's certainly not a negative.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
no, for sure. I think the races that he ran with Lasix were because he can run with Lasix. That's really it.
Yeah, no, it is.
And the thing is the horse, if you look at the patterns, just look at his work pattern, everything about him, it's clear when this horse had hiccups, and now's not that time. I think he's ready to fire.
I would like to point out, because Billy brings something else, which is he goes, Kaylie thinks he's a lock. I think Flo getting fired is the key. I'm going to say something right now. I have been present, and I don't say this with any pride, by the way, or any excitement. I have been present for 2 of the more famous firing moments in the last 5 years. I was there when Ricardo Santana Jr. blew it on Silver State and basically didn't ride for Steve Asmussen for 3 years. And I was there at Monmouth with you when Flo did what Flo does, which is I'm going to try to crawl up on the front end and strangle a horse that's lone speed and invite literally everybody else into the race and then act shocked when somebody makes an early move and I have to then quarter horse at the last 3 furlongs to try to get this horse across the wire first. Mm-hmm. And, oh, by the way, you mentioned it. Guess who's Brad Cox's number 1 jockey now? Irad Ortiz Jr. Florent Geroux. He can stay in Japan for a while, maybe. I don't know. He was over there recently. Flo, you can stay over there. Just stay over. Keep riding over Tokyo. Keep riding over there. Yeah, just do that. Just do that. That's probably better. That's going to be, everybody's going to be happier if you do that anyway. Bottom line.
But, there are some horses, I will say I was present when he gave a really good ride to Immersive when she returned. That's of note. There are a lot of horses that he could fit. But I just, it's not this horse.
Yeah, when you put him on a superstar like Gunrunner, he can look like a superstar. I mean, you put me on Gunrunner, I might look good. And I'm 203 pounds.
Also, Monmouth is like the worst track to mess around. I've seen a lot of
That's
good
true.
horses,
it is the worst track to mess around on, yeah.
Good horses and locks get beat there just because it's a funny track, and this horse was not given the ride that he needed to get the win that day. But I know this horse he's ready to roll on Saturday, so I'm singling him.
I'm singling him too. I think that he is primed for this. What's amazing about Just a Touch is he has yet to win a stakes race. I mean, that's the really amazing part about this horse is we think about this horse as one of the better older horses, and at least I do. And certainly one of the more naturally talented older horses that we have has never won a stakes race. And so I think this is the day to do it. I think this makes a ton of sense. That said, James brings up a horse that I am interested in, which is the number 4 Accelerize. This is an interesting horse for Todd Pletcher. You want to talk about an interesting placement? Hello, Todd sending this horse to Fairgrounds for no reason at all tells me this horse might be training pretty well.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, this is the one horse that I'm not really scared of because I know Just a Touch I feel is ready, but this is a horse that I'm going to love to play underneath in a straight exacta because you get that 8-1 price, which you're probably not going to get. But this horse, is training, like you said, moving forward with every start, lightly raced. And it's interesting that this horse even ends up here. So definitely took a long look at this one and I'll play him in an exacta here. But I can't lie. I mean, it is a little worrisome just seeing this horse end up in this race and the way that he's progressing, for sure.
Yeah, because this horse is not through its conditions. I mean, if this horse wanted to go through other conditions, it absolutely could. I mean, this horse has won a maiden and an optional claiming 20. I mean, it's not like this is – it could easily go to an N3L type of a race, an N2X type of a race. Could go to a few different types of races at Gulfstream Park where Todd Pletcher is located. Todd doesn't send a ton of horses to Fairgrounds, and he doesn't screw around when he does. He usually has a pretty live runner. And so the fact he's going and Flavian Pratt ends up on the mount for Spendthrift Farms and Rapoli Stables, certainly a pretty dangerous horse, sired by a horse you and I both like a lot, Omaha Beach. I liked Omaha Beach more when he cost $30,000. Now he costs $75,000. He's in a different price range. I got to hit some pick sixes if I want to breed a mare to Omaha Street, but Omaha Beach, but he's a great sire.
Definitely. And I mean, the one thing that made me feel a little better, about this horse was the fact that it is a big step up in
It
class.
is a huge step up.
It
Yeah.
is. So, I wouldn't be too scared, but I definitely think that he's pretty likely to run second, and I'll put him in a straight exacta.
Now, a horse that James also brought up was Moonlight, who used to be with Todd Pletcher. And it's interesting. This is a horse that I felt like Todd never really, he was on the turf for a while. He was on the Derby Trail for a second, was kind of on a few different things and went to Chris Block's barn. And Chris has done a good job at bringing this horse along and honestly has won 4 of the last 6 races, including the Cherokee Mile last time out at Churchill Downs, going 2 turns. The concern for me is this horse is just a deep closer, and I'm not sure this horse is going to be able to close all the way against this caliber of competition.
And this horse seems to really like Churchill. That
Yeah,
was
that's true. That
also,
is true.
this horse
Yep.
ran figures that don't match with the rest of
You're right about
his
that. Yeah,
figures at Churchill Downs. So I noted that and left him off really for that reason.
that's a good point. We do know those Churchill horses, a horse like I was used to bring up a horse like Obligatory back in the day, Maxfield. These are horses that love Churchill Downs, and you get them out of the Twin Spires, and they're not quite the same. I usually kind of poo-poo the horse for course, but it happens in some spots. Churchill, I think Kentucky Downs, obviously on the turf, but yeah, there's a few. Now, Kenny McPeak's got a horse in here as well, the number 5, Sir Grayland. Horse ran a big race in the Tenacious Stakes last time out, which is a little bit of a prep for this race. This was the race that actually Just a Touch scratched out of on the Gunrunner Day. And Sir Grayland comes back here with Brian Hernandez up, comes off that career best 100 buyer speed figure effort. Another one who comes from off the pace. Certainly, if he runs back to that 100, he's in the mix. But I just don't know if he's going to duplicate that against probably a deeper field than what he faced last time.
Completely agree. I mean, a horse that 100 definitely sticks out, but it is a big step up. The horse never ran, 10 points. The horse ran 10 points within 100 his whole career. So I'm a little bit, concerned about him running back close to that, whereas I think Just a Touch is going to be able to run a pretty big figure tomorrow. So that's why I left this horse off, but definitely a little interesting.
Let's move to the final race on the card. And folks, again, if you're not playing on NYRA Bets already, make sure to sign up tonight. Why? Because we have a special promo code just for the folks watching live right now. If you go to nyrabets.com/live25, use the promo code live25, you get a free $25 bet and up to a $200 deposit match bonus. Again, this is just for you all watching right now. Literally nobody else. So make sure to use that promo code live25. If you're already playing on NYRA Bets, thank you. And remember that tomorrow we have a great money back guarantee promotion. Last race at Aqueduct, first race at Turfway Park, $10 money back guarantee. So make sure to opt in and play. Kaylie, we're going to go to the Lecomte. We did an early preview of this. I wrote about it. We did a Road to the Kentucky and Derby Oaks about it. I talked about it on Capping the Card. We're going to talk about it again now. We have over 200 people listening. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Let us know what your thoughts are on this race in the Lecomte. But, Kaylie, I don't know how you want to approach it because this is an 11-horse field. It's a big field. I feel like we can go a lot of different ways. But there was a horse that when it crossed the wire on the Gunrunner Day, it wasn't in the Gunrunner. It was in a maiden special weight race. And you said, that's a horse that I want to be playing next time out. And that was the number 5 Golden Tempo.
Oh, yeah. I think this horse is the goods. And I honestly, I'm a little bit mad because the word is out. Like everyone kind of got wind and the word spread, that people thought that the debut was so impressive. So now it's like an echo chamber, everyone's saying the same thing. So I really don't think that we're going to get 8-1 on this horse whatsoever. No. But I was really excited when this horse crossed the wire when he debuted. I mean, really impressive turn of foot. The horse picked up horses around the turn. The horse picked up horses down the stretch. And one thing I absolutely loved, he was 2 years old when he debuted. This was December. So if you think about it, for a horse to win first time out the way that he did, it was really impressive. I mean, lots of times 2-year-olds or young horses, inexperienced horses, when they go past a horse, they'll link up for a little bit, and that's just
Yeah.
kind of a natural thing horses do. He just went right on by. I mean, it was really impressive, and that was going 6 furlongs. First time out, and this horse is a curling out of a Bernardini mare. I'd imagine this horse is going to take a huge step forward, stretching out, comes from that deep Phipps family and from a trainer that does absolutely everything right with young horses and does not rush them. And that's why it says a lot that this horse won the way that he did first time out. I really like this horse a lot. Looking forward to betting, a lot of money to win on him. So I hope I get a good price because, like I said, the word is out, but I think this is a really strong contender. It's my top pick here and should definitely get pace as well. So not a concern for a closer like this. And we could also see this horse sitting closer than he
Yeah.
did in his debut as well. So there's a lot
Yeah.
to like about him.
Definitely a lot to like, and we'll just show the folks the replay because this was impressive. The horse was nowhere to be found, and you'll see the kind of the red cap on the far outside and the black Phipps silks, and I just was motoring down the stretch, and you didn't think the horse was going to get there, and then Jose just kind of gives him a couple of taps, and then the next thing you know, here he comes, and even had to kind of move out a path right there as the horse next to him was lugging out, and you mentioned it just goes right by horses, is not stalling at all, and finished full of run and obviously just a massive gallop out. And you would expect a horse like that is just going to continue to move forward, going a little bit longer. I don't think we get 8-1. I think if we get half that price, we should be lucky. But you mentioned that there's going to be some pace. And I think that is an important point to start with. Because I think you can look at the number 2 Carson Street. I think you look at the number 3 Crown the Buckeye. I think you can look at the number 8 White Tiger and the number 11 Chip Honcho. And I think all of those horses are going to want to be up and pretty close to the pace. And one of the things that I always learned in handicapping was when you have speed inside and speed outside, what happens is if everybody on the inside and outside wants to go, then it kind of forces the middle to go a little bit faster than maybe they want to, because all of a sudden these horses are all getting rushed up. People are trying to cross over, etc. And what happens is you end up with an even faster pace sometimes than if you just had a lot of speed all on the inside or a lot of speed all on the outside. So it's interesting. I think you're going to get a very strong pace here. And as a result, I'm not really interested in any of these horses that are going to be up on the front end. You have at least a little bit of interest in number 11 Chip Honcho, who won that gun runner. One thing I'll say, a very consistent horse. Whether or not he can take a step forward, that's going to be a big question mark, I think, for Saturday. But he's rock solid consistent for sure.
Definitely. I use the 2 Cherie horses in here, which I think are very dangerous. And I used Chip Honcho, the winner of the gun runner. And, when I originally looked at the gun runner, wasn't really impressed with too many horses coming out of there. But Chip Honcho, I mean, this horse really has not done anything wrong whatsoever and kind of found another gear towards the end of the gun runner, which I thought was a positive moving forward. And I think that this horse has, every reason to be on people's tickets. I mean, he won the gun runner pretty well. He finished up well. He beat a lot of the horses in this field. And I think, at first I thought he was kind of compromised by the way that he drew into this field, but I think he can get a good position. I mean, at the end of the day, even if he rates that, I mean, that's the trip he's probably going to want to sit, let the other speed go out and wear each other out and hopefully just sit a tracking trip. But I really like this horse as, I have Cherie's horses are closers, and then I have this horse that is going to be sitting that stalking position. And I feel pretty safe going into it like that. In my opinion, right now, those are the 3 best horses in the race. So I wanted to include them, and they're all pretty good prices as well.
Yeah, they absolutely are. And the number 7 Mesquite is a horse that's also on my ticket. You mentioned is the other Cherie DeVaux horse in this race with Flavian Pratt up on the Mount Union rides out of a mineshaft mare. Took a little bit of a step back, stretching out, going in terms of a buyer speed figure, going from an 80 in debut to a 75. But the 80 in debut was actually a loss, going 6 furlongs. So 75 was a victory, coming from all the way in the back of the pack. Didn't get crazy fractions, 23-3, 47-2, 112-3. It wasn't insanely fast. It was strong pace, but not nuts. Actually beat a horse, Liberty Valance, who came back to is actually running on the undercard on this Lecomte day. And then Carson Street who's in this race as well. Hasn't run since, scratched out of the gun runner, missed a couple of weeks of works, but certainly is finishing up strong here with a couple of nice works for Cherie leading up to this race. So I think Mesquite certainly makes a lot of sense. And if there is that pace, this is a horse that's going to start clipping them off coming down the stretch. And that long fairground stretch gives him plenty of chances to do that with Flavien aboard.
Oh, definitely. And when I first looked at this race, I didn't think that the horse, I was like, oh, what if the horse doesn't get the pace? But like you just said, it wasn't anything crazy whatsoever. I mean, there's no reason to believe that this horse won't get similar fractions tomorrow. I mean, I believe so. And even if not, like you just said, there's a long stretch at the fairgrounds, and this is a horse that just clips off horses. So one that I really wanted to include, and one that had a lot of buzz also. Prior to scratching from the gun runner, there was a lot of buzz around this horse. And, I remember he impressed me when he broke his maiden, and I wanted to include him here. I think Cherie has two really good horses here, and I wouldn't be surprised if either of them win, but I do prefer Golden Tempo.
Well, let's talk about a horse that you and I have a little bit of a split opinion on, which is the number 10, Stop the Car. And I mentioned this because our friend Billy here in the comments, he's mentioned this horse as well. There's a lot of people online who like this horse. This is turning into a little bit of a wise guy horse, and I don't like it because wise guy horses never win. But Stop the Car is an interesting horse for Brendan Walsh with Ben Curtis aboard. And I like this horse. This horse is going to be on my ticket. Stretched out to a mile, speed figure went up, debuted in $150,000 optional claimer. Keeneland going 6 and won that too. I mean, comes from a really weird pedigree to some extent. You have this kind of older Tisnow mare who was bred to maximum security, who's already been moved and transported to Indiana. So he's kind of been considered a bust as a sire. One of the things I always mention is the exception to the rule. And we use this sometimes with horses. I use this sometimes with trainers who are like a 4% trainer, but this horse, like this one horse they have always wins. And I go, this trainer, this horse can, I remember a horse like, I remember Rusty Arnold, trainer Rusty Arnold was something like 1 for 52 coming off of a layoff. But Red Carpet Ready was always winning off layoffs for him. And I was like, so Red Carpet Ready clearly just doesn't care that Rusty Arnold normally doesn't get him ready off the bench. Red Carpet Ready can run. And I shouldn't worry about the trainer stats. This is a little bit of that. Maximum security. This is pretty amazing across, I guess, two or three crops. Has managed to only have 4 debut juvenile winners. That's it. It is abysmal. His offspring are the opposite of precocious. And they get better as they get older, and they get better as they go longer, but they are not good first time out. Stop the Car was one of those 4 debut winners as a juvenile, then stretches out to a mile, sees the speed figures increase. I don't know if this horse is going to end up underneath the Twin Spires the first Saturday in May, but I think the horse is interesting, and I think the horse has shown us some versatility to run a couple of different ways. 8-1. I actually think you're going to get 8-1 because Cherie's horses are going to take money. I think the horse is interesting. I'm throwing it in.
I think this horse is going to take money though. Like everyone's talking about this horse, and I don't really, me personally, I had the horse at first, and then I was like, I'm so confident in Golden Tempo, and I already have the 2 other horses I believe are the other best horses in the race.
Yeah.
So why would I include this one that I'm kind of indifferent about just because he took a step forward stretching out to a mile? This horse is about to go 2 turns for the first time. I don't believe that the horse is, I don't believe that the horse is going to be around going 2 turns. That's just my opinion. And I know that the maximum securities, they're able to get distance. That's, all of that's great. But in my opinion, I just saw a couple of things about this horse that made me believe that he's not going to be on par with the rest when they start going 2 turns, which is tomorrow. And if he beats me, so be it. He took a step forward, stretching out. He has a lot of buzz. It's Brendan Walsh. He's training well. I get it. But for me, I would be literally shocked if this horse was in the Kentucky Derby. Like, in my opinion, there's no way. But tomorrow, if he beats me, so be it. I don't think he's getting 2 turns. So
yeah.
But he is interesting, and he could beat me. He could get it tomorrow, but moving forward, I don't
Well,
really
and
have that high of an
it's
opinion.
so funny you say it, because before we get to talking about Crown the Buckeye and a couple of these other horses that are coming out of the Gun Runner, I want to talk about Quality Mischief as well for
Hmm.
Brad Cox. Um, what's interesting is how big of a difference there is between a mile and a 16th and a mile and an eighth. It's amazing. We always talk about getting the mile and a quarter. Well, we know that's a whole other ball game, but it is stunning to me to see every year how a horse can look like a world beater at a mile and a 16th, and you put that extra half furlong and they're nowhere to be found. And
Hmm.
so when we start talking about, yeah, they can get through this round of preps, but I don't know about the next round of preps. When you start going to a mile and an eighth, I don't know about that. And that's what makes, honestly, that's what makes a race like the Demoiselle and the Remsen so interesting up here in
Oh
New York,
yeah.
because they're these 2-year-old races where they're going a mile and an eighth, and all of a sudden you go, oh, this horse Zanny, yeah, that horse is legit. Oh, this
Hmm.
horse Paladin, yeah, this horse is legit.
Hmm.
Oh, this horse Dornock, Sierra Leone, yeah, they're legit. Yes, that's how you can tell, because that
Hmm.
mile and an eighth, that's not easy to get. When you can get that as a 2-year-old, that really says something. Mile and a 16th, a lot of horses that can get a mile can get a mile and a 16th, under the right circumstances. Now, whether or not he gets those circumstances, we'll see. But going
Yeah,
to be
completely
fascinating.
agree. It's not impossible. I know for a fact that I do not like him for the Derby. That's a fact. But
Yeah,
tomorrow, who knows? In my opinion, I think Golden Tempo is gonna beat him. I think he's
yeah,
gonna hand it to him. That's my opinion. So the more I kept thinking about it, I was like, why would I ever include that horse if I think the 5 is so above the rest of
yeah.
them?
No, that's a good
Yeah.
approach to have when you think about ticket construction. Um, listen, let's talk a little bit about Crown the Buckeye and Quality Mischief, two other horses coming out of that gun runner. We already talked about Chip Honcho. The thing that, Fly Fishing Chief brings up a question about, do you think Crown the Buckeye gets a better trip inside than Chip Honcho? Maybe. It just depends. I could see a lot of speed kind of crashing down on Crown the Buckeye, though, and Carson Streets to his inside. So it really is going to come down to him breaking well. If he breaks well and he can get up front, then maybe. But I think he's going to have a horse on his hip, and it's just a matter of whether or not you want to have a horse breathing down your neck like that. Maybe he can clear over to the rail in front of Carson Street, but that's not a given either. So it's going to be hard. But the thing that really stuck out to me, Kaylie, watching that gun runner back,
Hmm.
those horses were staggering home. I mean, that was not a fast last 16th of a mile. I mean,
Hmm.
that just, now granted, they're going the same distance on Saturday. So, it's not like they're stretching out, but I just 4-1, you're nuts. But even I think it's 6-1. I have no interest in a horse like Crown the Buckeye.
I think the horse is gonna go off at like 6, 8 to 1. That's my
I would
opinion.
imagine. So. I think he's
I
floating up.
really
Yeah,
think,
I agree.
yeah, he's definitely going to float up. But like you said, I did not like the way that he got beat. I mean, if you look at him, his state bred races are his best races. Then he faces open company, and then he can't get the distance, like, because you just said he has pressure up front. He's gonna have to deal with Chip Honcho, and out of the two, I mean, Chip Honcho is the last man standing in the fight that I would want, based on what we saw in the gun runner. So I just think that there's going to be other speed, and I don't see him getting it if he couldn't do it last time out in the gun runner. And granted, maybe he went a little bit too fast up front, but also that state bred thing, I mean, that's really hard to ignore. I mean, the first time he
Yeah,
faced
and
open
listen,
company.
he did go fast. I mean, no two ways about it. 46-3, 110-4. I mean, those are legit fractions, even going a mile and a 16th. And so, listen, it is. We'll see, but I think he's going to have another strong pace again on Saturday. So I
Hmm.
don't think it's going to get any easier for him in that regard. By the way, appreciate everybody tuning in.
Hmm.
Billy, appreciate you checking us out too. Best of luck tomorrow to you as well, my friend. And so I love it. It's waving me from the sidewalk. I'll stop the car and say hi. Love that. And yeah, this is just kind of my opinion as well, Sean. I'm not really including any of those gun runner horses
Hmm.
because of the pace scenario. But listen, another one from that race is Quality Mischief. This is a horse that I've heard is training very well since coming out of that race. Now, I don't know what that means exactly. Brad Cox kind of has his third jockey on him in this particular race, Marcelino Pedroza Jr., who he uses a lot at Horseshoe Indy, I should say. That's kind of his number one guy there. But still, this is, notable that it's not Irad, it's not Luis Saez, it's not, it's Marcelino. No shots at Marcelino. He's a perfectly good jockey, but still, this horse, the thing that concerned me was there was all that pace, and at the top of the stretch, it looked like Quality Mischief was in a prime condition to go by because he was kind of loomed up and was wide and had a clear run and just nothing. And I can't get excited about that horse next time out.
I mean, me neither at all. The horse ran in a straight line in the gun runner. And then, I mean, if you look at the starts prior, they were at Horseshoe Indy and look at the figures. I mean, I wasn't jumping up and down to take this horse whatsoever.
No.
But another one that's a little interesting, I mean, not one that I include, and I definitely want to say why, because it's, a horse that's 8-1, but a horse that is probably going to take a little bit of money. It's Brad Cox and IRAD is White Tiger. I am a little bit concerned about this horse. I know it's a Constitution, but there's 2 full siblings to this horse that have never gone further than a mile on the turf, I believe. And if you look at this horse, I mean, really nursed fractions up on the lead to break his maiden at Churchill Downs, going a mile and a 16th. And watching the replay, this horse was getting asked hard to finish up and hold on to get that win. So even nursing those soft fractions up front. So that was my concern with this one. The trip that he's going to be able to sit and whether or not he's going to be able to finish up the way that he did with better horses.
I could not agree with you more about White Tiger. He's a toss for me in this particular race. I just, A, the figures are a little light. B, what you mentioned, I also saw on the replay of really being asked to finish up there. And then the other part is just the pace. He's not going to be on the front end. I don't think he's fast enough to get to the front end. I think Crown the Buckeye is faster. I think Chip Honcho's even faster and can clear in front of him potentially. So
they're probably going to, they're probably going to try to figure it out on Saturday. Do we have to rate them?
Yeah.
Get the distance? They're probably going to try that.
Kaylie, this doesn't feel like a good race to try to figure it out.
No.
Because
but it's the time,
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see what you have with a horse like this, which is good. But I don't expect this horse to be anywhere near the winner's circle. Now, Cox's other horse is interesting, Thunderbuck, the number 6, who we didn't mention. This is a horse that is cross-entered in a $125,000 optional claimer earlier in the card. Now, if the horse decides to, Cox has got 3 horses in this race. So is he going to run all 3 of them in this race? Maybe Thunderbuck goes to the undercard race instead.
I think he said that he's running him in this race.
Okay, so he's running him in this race. So he's going to run here. And so if he runs here, listen, he's a nice horse. He's a gun runner out of a stakes-winning Oxbow mare. There's plenty to like there for Thunderbuck. And I think this is a horse that has every opportunity to move forward, can come from off the pace. One going a mile and a 16th, so we don't have to extrapolate the distance like we do with some of these other horses, but is switching off Lasix. Luis Saez stays aboard. There's enough to like here to think this horse is going to be able to run well on Saturday.
Definitely. There's enough to like here. I mean, it's Brad Cox, Luis Saez. Horse has a lot of sire power with gun runner. I mean, there's a lot to like, but I just kind of want to wait and see with this one. You mentioned the Lasix. Now the horse has to switch off Lasix. That's definitely something to note. But another thing, I mean, just pull Brad Cox and Calumet in stakes races. They're just not successful over the years. So I wasn't jumping up and down to take this one.
Fair point. I know a horse that, and Sean mentions that Marcus Hirsch is reported Thunderbuck is running in the Lecomte. Ocelli for Whit Beckman is running in the maiden special weight on the undercard. And so Ocelli is a horse I was not a huge fan of in either of those races, actually. I didn't like him in the maiden race, and I don't like him in this race. So that's fine with me. But that's also why I didn't see the report, because Marcus blocked me. That's why I didn't get to see it, because Marcus blocked me on Twitter, because he's a petty person. But that's okay.
I should have told you.
He made a wrong point. But that's okay. We'll let Marcus be right about other things. A horse that a couple people like, and shout out to Mark Palmer if Mark's watching this, because I know Mark Palmer, who always comments on our Derby and Oaks videos, which I deeply appreciate. Mark likes this horse Exosum, and James is mentioning this is a horse to think about underneath. Here's what I will say. Kelsey Danner's barn is white hot right now. I mean, she is winning everything that's not nailed down at Turfway Park. So she's absolutely a hot barn right now, for sure. This is a horse that's a huge price. Listen, from a pedigree standpoint, it's a candy ride out of a Medagliadoro mare. Shouldn't have any problem getting a mile of 16th. The distance isn't an issue. I always, though, worry about horses that win their debut races off the turf and who they exactly were running against over a wet track in a race that was meant to be on turf, gets taken off. And can that form translate into a fast track? I don't know. I just don't know. And this is a horse, again, there's some, there's pedigree there. I know the people who really look at this stuff really like the some of the motion that this horse has, but to me, it's going to need to take a pretty big step forward in a big spot for a trainer who's not necessarily proven in this level yet.
Definitely, and I think it's a turf horse. If you think about it, I mean,
well, it's a candy ride, so it could go either way. Yeah,
entered in the race that was taken off the turf, and then if you look at the siblings, I mean, it's all turf. So for me, I mean, the horse clearly can run on the dirt. Broke his maiden on the dirt. Interesting. I'm just gonna wait and see how he runs. But I love candy ride.
Yeah, I will say, if we use some of this logic that we've used on a few other horses, use logic like we did on Reagan's Wit, where we go, listen, Cherie doesn't have to put this horse in this race. Kelsey doesn't have to put this horse in this race. I mean, it's not like this is Rapoli Stables owned or St. Elias or some big ownership group that, is kind of maybe forcing the hand a little bit to get, hey, we want this horse this was a big purchase. We want this horse being put in a big spot. This is not necessarily that. And this is already a full field. It's not like the racing office was having to scrounge up entries for this race. So the fact that Kelsey goes, we're spotting this horse here, clearly she sees something in the morning to make her think this horse can run. And so I don't know.
The pedigree's
the horse is not in there,
too.
but I think it's interesting.
Yeah, the pedigree's versatile too. I mean, the horse could run on the dirt or the turf. I guess we'll wait and see, which one he's good on, but interesting. At 20-1, interesting. Coming out of that blackout time.
Yeah, Medagliadoro, Bernardini seeking the gold, Miss Doolittle. So, impressive female family and really an interesting horse maybe to think about looking at. Listen, that brings us to the end of the live stream. Well, not quite, because we want to remind everybody, and we also want to share what our tickets look like. But here's the thing. If you're not playing on NYRA Bets already, use the promo code LIVE25. It is only good through midnight tonight. It really does genuinely cut off at midnight tonight. So it's only for you folks who are watching live right now. If you're not playing on NYRA Bets already,
do it now.
Yeah, do it now. Yeah, do right now and bet the bailout race at Turfway. You can still do it. You don't have to do that, but you can. And so use the promo code LIVE25. Go to NYRABets.com/live25. You get a free $25 bet and up to a $200 deposit match bonus. So again, use that promo code LIVE25 tonight. If you're already a player with us, thank you. And remember to opt in to our promotions tomorrow, $10 money back guarantee. Last race at Aqueduct, first way at Turfway Park. That's going to be a lot of fun. But listen, let's see how we're playing the late pick 5. This is our tickets. I went a little bit more expensive than you. Yours tickets is more of a fine-tuned machine at this point. A $48 ticket. We both use the exact same 4 horses and go 4 deep in the Marie G. Krantz Stakes. We go with the favorite, Maduro. We go with the number 6, Sweet Treasure. We go with the 8, Nanda Dia, and we go with the 9. What is the name of the 9? I thought I could do it all from memory. Now I'm blanking on the 9, who's the Joe Sharp horse. Stylish Sue, that's right. Sorry about that, Stylish Sue. No shots at Stylish Sue. Then we go 2 deep in the Silver Bullet Day with Atropa. You also include Love Your Neighbor. I include Pashmina. That's the race that I feel could change a little bit for me between now and when I have to actually finalize my ticket. I might actually end up going with 2 singles in this sequence and doing some crazy things. I don't know.
I think we should definitely, put those tickets up tomorrow. Maybe give like a
Oh yeah,
cheap
for sure.
one and
Yeah.
a $40 to $50 one. Because I
Yes.
definitely am going to play one where I single like three horses in the sequence or something.
Yes. I think
Hmm.
yes. I think this is a prime example of an A-B where you want to use A/B ticket structure, and
Hmm.
you can use it in a few different ways. And you can play multiple tickets because I can see you could, I think, very easily put a ticket together that is Kaylee $12, and it might
Yep.
very well hit.
I would leave
And
my turf horses the same and
yeah,
then single Atropa and single Golden Tempo and
yeah,
just
yeah,
roll with that.
no, exactly.
Hmm.
So listen, that's where we're going to the Silver Bullet Day and the ER Bradley spreading there. We're both using Capuna, Laganos, and Reagan's Wit. You're using Theismann. I'm using Gigante. A lot of that's going to depend on the pace scenario, whether or not that pace is going to actually seem like it's going to come to fruition once scratches come out. We both are singling just a touch in the Louisiana Stakes, though we both are giving a shout out to the number 4 Accelerise. It's a horse that, certainly we want to think about using underneath and could be a little scary and a big step
Hmm.
up. A horse like Willie D's is, maybe a little interesting too, who we didn't talk much about. And then in the Lecomte, you're going 3 deep. I'm going 4 deep. You're going with the 2 Cherie horses and Chipancho. I'm going with the 2 Cherie horses as well as Thunderbuck and Stop the Car. I'm going with a whole new set of horses. This is like when you're playing poker and you get a crappy 5 cards and you just say, give me 4 new cards. Because I don't like any of these cards I have. I don't like any of these horses from the Gun Runner. Give me 4 new shooters. That's what I'm going to be using in my ticket tomorrow.
Makes sense. I think it's going to be a new shooter, and I think it's going to be one of Cherie's for sure.
Yeah,
I think she'll have a big day tomorrow. So
I think she's going to have a big day tomorrow. I think Brad Cox is going to have a big day tomorrow. By the way, you want to talk about those maiden races? Want to talk
I'm
about
going
those
to
maiden races?
dive into them tonight, actually.
Hello, hello, as our friend Nick Tito would say, hello.
Hello, just mom
Hello,
and pop.
hand to God. This is, you know, uh, you know, yeah, it is one of those days where there's going to be a lot of great racing going on. The main rate, the half sibling to Volatile is debuting. The full sibling to Charge It is debuting. And oh, by the way, both those horses are 5-1. Oh, that should tell you how good those fields are.
Hmm.
That's how good those fields are. So those maiden races on the undercard are absolutely outstanding. This is how Kaylee and I are going to see it, though, and it should be a lot of fun to play these races tomorrow on NYRA Bets at the fairgrounds. Kaylee, this is going to be a great day of racing tomorrow. I can't wait for it.
Me too. I'm so excited and definitely going to dive into all those maiden races. That's what my Friday night's going to be. So looking forward to
While
tomorrow, placing some big bets. Definitely one on Golden Tempo. That's for
Yes.
sure.
By the way, you looking at maiden races on a Friday night made me think of an old SNL sketch that you'll have no reference of. But your dad who's watching might, which is the Martin, or I think it was Martin Short and Steve, it was certainly Steve Martin, a couple of wild and crazy guys. That was their thing. I could just see you in Manhattan on a Friday night going, just handicapping maiden
I'm
races.
probably the only person in Manhattan that's doing that. Yeah,
Yes, I
interesting.
think you might be. So I might be the only person doing that in Gum Spring, Virginia as well, but the population is a little different. Listen, Kaylee, appreciate you hopping on this live stream. Appreciate all 250 people who logged in and are watching. So many thanks. And again, if you're not playing on NYRA Bets already, seriously, use that promo code Live25 because it is only good for tonight. So make sure to use that promo code Live25. I love seeing this between Derby futures and fairgrounds targets kind of make a big deposit on the NYRA Bets account. Absolutely. Derby futures, you and I, we're going to do a video on Sunday letting
Hmm.
people know what Derby futures they should be looking at because let me tell you something, there's going to be a lot of changes to those Derby futures Saturday night.
Chief Wallaby.
Okay. Calm down on the Bill Mott train. Just calm down. All right. She wins. Listen, she hits the exacta in all 3 legs of the Triple Crown. Suddenly we're going all in on Bill Mott again this year. Killing me here. What if
Just
I go
wait.
thunderously? What am I going to
Just
Oh,
wait.
yeah, I'll go thunderously. Then what? We'll see. Gonna be a lot of fun. I love that people are following the Sixers for me. I need to watch what's going on there. Appreciate everybody In Thundersly, I think both. I think Bill's got two
Both
very,
of
very
them.
good horses in this race. Carlos Warren's got Culpepper. Again,
No,
you want to go
no,
for
he's
horses that are pricier.
no, he's in Culpeper, Virginia.
Oh, he's in Culpeper. I thought he was going with Culpeper. He's in Culpeper. That's fantastic, Carlos. You're right up the road. I could shoot up 522 and come see you. That's tremendous. I love Culpeper, Virginia. That's good horse country, too. That's real good horse country. I love it there. Shout out to Carlos in Culpeper, Virginia. Who knew that I had friends here in rural Virginia? Love this. Listen, we're going to stop the silliness. We're going to stop the stream, but appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Thank you again so much for tuning in and checking us out on live stream. Make sure to press that like button and subscribe on NYRA Bets YouTube today. All right, Kaylie, I'm going to go take a drink of water and, I don't know, take a deep breath. But this has been a lot of fun.
Definitely a lot of fun, and good luck to everybody tomorrow.
Absolutely. For Kaylie Shapiro, my name is Matthew DeSantis, wishing you a great and prosperous day at the races. And reminding you, friends, it's now. Kaylie, what time is it?
Post time.